Share screen, share window. What am I doing? So welcome to module 2 of promoting positive behaviour. I'm hoping this should take about an hour to get through. Don't forget what we discussed yesterday about writing down what your the reasons that you chose, how confident you were in dealing with behaviour and how confident you were in dealing with the strategies. And please make sure you share those with your manager by Friday so that we can discuss it as senior leaders. So, section 1, introduction, just making sure everyone can see. At the end of this module, you'll be able to identify your impact as a role model for behaviour, explain effective communication strategies for building positive relationships with children and their families. In their formative years, children rely on adults to act as appropriate role models for learning about the world around them, including how to behave. Developing strong, nurturing relationships with young children helps to foster trust, a sense of belonging, and emotional security, which are all essential for healthy socio-emotional development and for coping with difficult emotions and situations. We convey values, expectations, and boundaries through communication, both verbal and non-verbal. In this module, we will highlight how effective communication helps children to understand their actions, encourages empathy and cooperation, and teaches conflict resolution. So 1 second, I'm just going to let people into the chat, into the meeting. Can you hear my neighbour complaining about her child whinging? Okay. Hi, Afia. So, role models. Positive relationships are central to promoting positive behaviour in a setting. Think about your role as an adult. How do you promote positive behaviour? So if you want to drop in the chat or take your mic off and just give me some ways in which in your setting you promote positive behaviour, that might be through golden rules or the language that you use around children. If you want to take your mic off. Relationships. Lovely, thank you. So your answers might have included things like being warm and loving, fostering a sense of belonging by building those relationships, being sensitive and responsive to children's needs and interests, identifying and acknowledging their feelings, being consistent and setting clear boundaries, providing a challenge, interest and fun activities, modeling the behaviour, as you said, value your role and what you contribute. And I think that's a really huge one because I think as we're going through all of these different training modules, I think it's really evident to see how much you guys do and how valuable actually being good at what you do is. And I think you're all really wonderful in different ways, and you all contribute in different ways. Being knowledgeable and keen to learn, know how to identify and support children in a range of circumstances, including those who are vulnerable, looked after, with additional needs or disabilities, and appreciating and respecting the cultures, identities, and diverse backgrounds of the children, families in their settings. Thanks, Maz. I did think that you were going to do that, to be fair. Children learn by observing and imitating the people around them. As practitioners, we have to develop a deep level of self-awareness and acknowledge our responsibility to act as positive role models, setting the standards for behaviour and communication which foster emotional and social development. In the following scenario, which response demonstrates the practitioner acting as a positive role model for behaviour? An adult in the setting is thirsty and picks up their water bottle only to find they can't open it. Should she bang the bottle down in frustration and give up, shout in frustration and demand someone else open it, keep trying but with an annoyed expression, take a breath, smile, and calmly ask someone to help? 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Four.
Thank you. Correct. Remember that there are teaching and learning opportunities in everything we do and say. Children learn by watching and copying the actions of those around them. So their positive behaviour starts with you. Positive relationships, supporting behavioural development. The most important capacities that develop in the early years are self-regulation and metacognition. So it's being aware of and in control of one's own cognitions, emotions, and behaviours. Self-regulation is the ability to manage emotions and behaviour in accordance with the demands of the situation. It's a skill that children need to learn, and as practitioners, we can co-regulate with them through connection and by providing a supportive framework to help scaffold and the learning. As children are learning to regulate their emotional responses, they may show signs of emotional dysregulation, communicating stress and fear, such as emotional outbursts, aggression, mood swings, impulsive behaviours, or excessive crying. When children are supported through co-regulation to cope with these overwhelming feelings, children learn to manage stress and respond proportionately to situations. Find some case study examples below. So we'll just have a brief discussion on this, and we'll think about, as I read through it, just have a think about whether or not the behaviour is appropriate for the child's stage of development, whether it raises concerns, or whether what strategies you could use to support the child and their family. Arthur is 4 years old and has been with the nursery since he was a baby. He has 3 older brothers ranging from 7 to 15 and often likes to play boisterous games. His parents have recently separated, and Arthur lives with his mum and his brothers and sees his dad at weekends. Mum has told Arthur's key worker, Annie, that he has taken this well and he understands why this happened. Over the last 2 weeks, Annie has noticed that Arthur has become withdrawn and often has violent outbursts, and he has started swearing during those times. She has spoken to Mum, who has responded saying there is nothing to worry about. So, do we think that behaviour is appropriate for their age and for their stage of development? Does the behaviour raise concerns? What strategies will you use to support? If you would like to take off your mics and share, or you can put your hand up first if you like. Don't all rush at once. Maj, do you want to chip it?
Oh, yeah.
Go on then.
No, I think it's quite sort of normal. He's got 2 older brothers that are probably using sort of sweary language around, so he's picked it up from there kind of thing. And also, we don't know on that message whether the parents may have been arguing and having that kind of influence on him as well. Personally, I'd go back to the parent and put some strategies in place for both at home and at nursery as well.
What kind of strategies, Jen, would you think about using?
I think about like calming voices. Obviously, when he gets frustrated, depending on how he reacts, maybe giving him a few minutes or getting him recognisable features that he might go towards, especially if it's SEN, and just try and maintain that level of relationship with him.
Lovely, thank you. So making sure he's got that safe space.
Yeah, exactly, because you might not have it at home, but he might have it at nursery.
Lovely, thank you, Jen. Did anyone else have anything they want to add? Maybe if anyone has any ideas about strategies that you could use to support?
Worry monster. I mean, obviously they can't he can't write down, but he could go and sit in the book corner or something and have a chat with this, not a monster, but you know what I mean, a teddy or something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
they do. They have. I don't know if you all know about them, but there's different kinds of monsters. So there's a whole series, and there's books that go alongside them. So they're used to support children. But as Debbie's saying, it would be a good idea for him to go to a quiet space with his worry monster, or he could even make his own one and talk to that monster, or you could use pictures, Debbie, if he's not able to write as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, case study 2. Katia is 26 months old. She's an active child who loves to climb, play outside, and enjoys playing with her friends. Her communication skills are a little delayed at this time, and Katia uses gestures rather than words to vocalize what she wants. She has just started to bite Sorry? Okay. She's just started to bite a particular child in the room. Katia's key worker, Becky, has noticed that it tends to be around lunchtime, and Katia gets aggressive and agitated prior to the biting and will not listen to the other staff and only respond to Becky during this time. What would you think with the pattern happening? And this is why we keep ABC charts. So with the pattern happening around lunchtime, what do you think could be causing her to flip her lid?
He's just probably hungry and tired
Or
around
maybe
that time.
Yeah, hungry, tired.
Maybe she's not getting enough food or something at home.
From breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could
She
be.
doesn't get lunch at home. You never know.
You never know.
she seems to be quite an active child, and she may possibly need that
More
extra
food
time
and
and
extra time.
extra. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Also her communication levels as well.
Yeah.
Regarding her communication, if she's starting to bite, is that another way for her to communicate?
Yeah, she's
Because
trying
she's
to tell
maybe
you something.
frustrated at that time, and the only way she knows how to communicate is with her teeth if she can't use her words.
Yeah.
I
Something
think
else
maybe
that's
the
really
lunchtime
important.
routine is probably something that she finds quite distressing,
Say
or
that
it's
again,
probably
Maz, sorry.
maybe the lunchtime routine or transition is something that she finds potentially distressing or sensory overload, because
Yeah.
she's got a communicational barrier, and it's little delayed. She might not like that routine of, okay, everyone tidy up now, we're going to have lunch, or let's move from the garden and we're going inside to transition to have lunch. And is that transition, is that change of routine potentially that she is not actually finding it challenging, she doesn't like it, and she is reacting to it by, you know, showing behaviors that are, you know, we would say negative behaviors, so biting,
Yeah.
but that's a way of communicating, because there's something with that routine and that transition that she is not happy with, especially we shouldn't have communication issue delay. This is what they show, and we've seen that in our nursery when we're trying to get our children that are potentially pre-verbal or non-verbal, or who have a communication difficulty, that when they're transitioning between routines, they act up,
Yeah.
you know.
And something else to bear in mind is her age. She's 2 and 4 months. So, you know, there's a lot going on in that little brain. And also, Maz and I were having a discussion a few weeks ago, because what we recognized is that children can become overstimulated. So those children who are very active and love to climb, they love to be outside, they want to be climbing on all of the furniture inside, they can actually get to a point where they've overstimulated themselves, although they were sensory seeking the climbing. Now it's gone too far because they've been allowed to do that for so long. Now they're overstimulated and now can't control their emotions as they're going back into a different routine. And as Maz said, that part of the routine might be something that she finds challenging. So,
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
I think maybe before lunchtime, if they had like a moment of chilling down, will help.
Yeah.
A relaxing time.
Perfect. So that would be a great strategy. If you know that that's what happens to your child. Maybe reduce the amount of time that she's outside, bring that child to a quiet space, as Daniela has said, give her some time to calm down and wind down before, and using your now and next boards or objects of reference, make sure that she has a warning that lunchtime is coming. But she would also get used to that routine. Okay, I play, then I sit and I relax, and then we get ready for lunch. Thank you for your input, lovelies. So it says, for case study 1, Arthur is 4 years old and has been with the nursery since he was a baby. He has 3 older brothers ranging from 7 to 15, often likes to play boisterous games. His parents have recently separated. He lives with his mum and brothers, sees his dad at the weekends, but he understands what's happening. Over the last few weeks, it's been noticed that he's become more withdrawn and is having violent outbursts. So the issues are that the parents have separated. It's causing stress. You have to consider his age and stage of development, and also recognise that he's imitating his older brothers. For the strategies, at times children may display aggressive behaviour towards other children or practitioners. In these cases, providers should work in partnership with the parents, develop the risk assessment showing how they'll minimise the risks from his violent outbursts, identify potential warning signs and calming strategies, seek training and advice from external agencies, and complete incident forms so that you've got that record of when things are happening. So children's language is extended through direct experience. If children hear inappropriate language more than once, they may imitate it. They may hear this from familiar adults, other children, and others in their local surroundings. Usually, copying these words will pass and they will not necessarily know that they are unacceptable. Alternatively, children may grow up in houses where inappropriate language is frequently used and they may not know that these words should not be used. It may only be when they attend nursery that they are challenged. Where is it a one-off? So if a child is swearing and it's a one-off, ignore it and instead reinforce it with an alternative word. So instead of a beep, beetle, replace it with what an enormous beetle. If this becomes repeated, acknowledge the words and inform the child that they are not acceptable in nursery and give an alternative example. Children need to know it is the words rather than the child that is the issue. Continue to role model using alternative expressions. Positive role models, draw attention to positive language, talk to the parents about the language used and share the nursery's philosophy and policy. Complete incident forms for children who repeatedly use inappropriate language. Again, begin to build up that picture to see if you can spot any patterns. And obviously, if it's raising concerns, then share with your DSL or put on my concern. So going back to Katia, so we know that the delayed communication skills lead to frustration in trying to communicate. So she's biting. She may find lunchtimes too busy and chaotic, as Maz said, causing stress and distress. She appears to have built up a good bond with her key person, Becky, who understands her. So this relationship needs to be encouraged. Develop a biting policy that is shared with parents, stating what strategies you use to support biters and children who they have bitten. Find sensory activities, use biting rings, have fruit readily available. That's the whole point of a rolling snack. It's not because we want kids to be eating all day, but it's so that when children are hungry, they're able to access it without feeling like they've got to ask or they've got to wait because it's not time to eat yet. Adequate resources and stimulating safe environments. Sorry?
Sorry, just can I add on that rolling snack why it's so important? Because so the same nursery, so my son goes to a nursery as well, and obviously, as you know, he's autistic and has sensory processing difficulties. They have a rolling snack only because you have to remember a lot of the times these children have such a sensory stimulation when they eat stuff, and if you're feeding into that, that really helps as well. So like children, if you put a rolling snack and you've got like crackers or apples or whatever it is, that helps with their sensory stimulation, sensory processing as well, because they're getting that crunch, they're getting that texture, they're getting that hardness, and it really does help. And I think rolling snack is amazing because it's a really good sensory activity. I know you're feeding them, but it's sensory processing activity actually, in a way.
No,
And it's
I agree, Maz. And I think you know, the expectation that children should eat when we want them to eat, especially a child who does have sensory needs and is sensory seeking, they don't get to decide when they need to fulfill their sensory needs. Therefore, we definitely shouldn't be deciding for them. So use a consistent approach. Make sure you've got adequate staff to child ratios. Have a key person shadow the child. Use picture cues and picture timetables, observations to identify triggers. So when they say picture cues and picture timetables, that would be your now and next boards and your objects of reference. Co-regulation. Gerard Costa from Montclair State University devised the acronym AGILE to help parents and carers with effective co-regulation skills to support children to self-regulate. A is for effect, so your tone and expression convey emotions, so ensure they are loving, supportive, and soothing. Gesture, your facial expressions, hand gestures, and body movements all reflect your emotions and are understood by the child. Intonation, so controlling the tone of your voice conveys that their feelings have been felt and understood. Latency, so that's waiting, allow the child time to take time in the gestures and intonations. Be patient. So when you're speaking to those children and you're controlling the tone of your voice, make sure you give them time to process, because they actually say a child under the age of 5, it takes them about 10 seconds to actually process a simple sentence. So make sure, because now they could be in a state of distress or dysregulation, make sure that you're giving them that time to process and be able to respond. E for engagement. The child's facial expressions, sounds, or body language will let you know if they are engaged. Setting the scene with your children, supporting them through co-regulation will help them manage their emotions better, which in turn enables them to demonstrate positive behaviours. I will find this video and I will put it in the chat on Friday. Positive attachment supporting behavioural development. The development of children's emotions is closely linked to their behavioural development. Strongly influenced by their main caregivers, the social and cultural context of their experiences determine their early behaviour, for example, whether they are praised or reprimanded for acting in a particular way. As toddlers develop a wider range of emotions, they rely on their caregivers to support them to develop skills such as self-control and learn how to express themselves appropriately, such as through adults modelling staying calm. Positive attachments refer to the deep emotional connection between caregivers and children. When this is secure, they are more likely to be able to develop strong relationships and the skills to cope with emotional challenges. Every child should have at least one adult in the nursery with whom they can form a strong connection, who has a commitment to building genuine relationships with them, enabling them to be themselves and feel confident. These people should be reliable, trusted adults who consistently respond to the child's individual and personal needs. Developing attachments with adults in the nursery provides a secure base from which babies and toddlers can explore and learn. By the age of 3, children are learning how to control their emotions and impulses in order to fit in with social expectations. They are likely to test the boundaries of this and rely on their parents and trusted adults for guidance, such as how to control aggression and develop cooperative play skills. Does anyone have any questions? No? Effective communication is at the heart of a positive relationship and positive attachments with children and their families. How well we communicate is not determined by how well we say things, but how well we are understood. Take a moment to reflect on your personal relationships. The most satisfying are often those where communication is prioritized, even about difficult subjects. So to ensure that we build positive relationships with our children, we also need to ensure our communication strategies are effective, including supporting them through positive attachments to manage difficult emotional situations. I recognise I didn't give you a minute to reflect then. Sorry. Communication needs to begin with the child knowing that they are being listened to and valued. Key strategies for effective listening include giving the child your full attention, making eye contact, providing time and space for them to share, to share their thoughts and ideas, reflecting back what you hear to check your understanding. How much of communication do you think is vocal? So how much of it is tone and inflection, non-verbal and non-verbal? Select one option. So we've got 55% verbal, 38% vocal, 7% tone and inflection, 55% non-verbal, 38% vocal and 7% verbal, or 55% vocal, 38% verbal and 7% verbal. 1, 2 or 3? Two, thank you, Debbie. Correct. So 55% of your communication is done through body language, gestures, hand gestures and facial expressions. 38% is your tone and your inflection. So that's how you say something. And 7% is the actual words that you are saying. Albert Mehrabian, a researcher of body language, identified that communication is 55% nonverbal, 38% vocal, 7% verbal. While these figures may not be exact, it has been agreed that those engaged in communication, the child and practitioner, will use nonverbal and vocal cues to support their understanding of what's being said. So we've got some types of body language, and we're going to put them in the positive or the negative categories. So if we're using open postures, you can just, in the chat, you can just put a P for positive and N for negative. So open posture.
Positive.
Thank you, Deborah. Crossing your arms as you speak or listen.
Negative.
Thanks, Carol. Lovely. Thank you, ladies. Avoiding eye contact.
Negative.
Negative.
Remember we picked up on that yesterday, how in some cultures, actually, it's not normal to give eye contact. A warm and friendly tone.
Positive.
Positive.
Frowning.
Negative.
I'll be honest, sometimes, because I have facial issues, sometimes I'm frowning, but I'm actually happy inside. Putting yourself at the same level. So getting down to the child's level. Positive. Lovely. Eye contact, facial expressions, tone of voice and body language all send positive signals to a child. This is known as being attuned and demonstrates that you are in harmony with the child. If you can communicate effectively with children, then you are more likely to develop positive relationships, which will support the development of positive behaviour. Fundamentally, practitioners need to know and understand how meeting the basic needs of young children leads to creating the best conditions for learning. Effective pedagogy, so that's the way children learn, is the ability of practitioners to discuss and reflect on their teaching methods, such as listening and tuning into young children, adapting what you do to meet their individual needs, and keeping them at the heart of everything they do. So just take a moment to just consider the different ways that you support children to develop a positive sense of themselves. And then if you want to take your mics off to give some answers or put it in the chat for me. Yep, scaffolding. X. Lovely, thank you.
I think it's good about the in the moment planning when they're talking to you about something and then they're coming with something that we can then do in the nursery as well.
Yeah, I love that. It makes them feel valued, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely, thank you. So you may have included tuning to their individual needs, like Jenny said, in the moment planning, observing the children to identify their interests, find out about children through talking with them, provide opportunities for independent choices and decisions, praise their achievements, encourage the characteristics for lifelong learning. So that scaffolding and all of those things that you do encourage them to want to learn. Through positive relationships with children built on respectful communication, attachments, and careful attunement, practitioners can nurture the development of positive behaviours. By engaging and involving children's families, these can be even more effective. Having open and positive relationships with children's families allows there to be a shared understanding of the expectations of the setting in terms of children's behaviours. Each family is going to have their own sets of standards, rules, boundaries, and routines which children will be fully aware of, but which may present a mismatch with those in the setting. So having a think about how we can build positive relationships with children and their families, we're going to match the description to the heading. If you just take your mics off for this one. So cultivate a friendly and open approach. Is that being approachable? Community, being culturally sensitive, celebrating, sharing information, collaborating, being patient, building trust, be responsive, be inclusive. Hey, thank you, Maz. Observe and respond to all communications and follow cues. So is that sharing information, being inclusive, sharing information, build trust, be culturally sensitive, be community, be responsive. Should I stop there?
Responsive.
In fact, let's just do that. Just tell me when to stop. Be consistent in your words, actions, and commitments. Collaborate, be culturally sensitive, be approachable, community, be patient, be responsive, build trust, share information, celebrate, be inclusive. You didn't tell me to stop, guys.
Share information. Be consistent in your words, action commitments. Be responsive.
Be responsive.
Well, we did use
Build
be
trust.
responsive for the other one.
It
Collaborate.
can't be anything else than other than build trust unless we swapped them around.
Yeah, exactly. Be consistent in your words, actions, and commitments. I would say let's build trust, no?
That's what I would put it as,
Yeah.
100%. But
That is how you build trust, isn't it? By being consistent. Maintain open and transparent information. Be approachable, be responsive, share information.
Share information.
sharing information.
Respect values, beliefs, and traditions of others. Share information, build trust, be culturally sensitive.
Culturally
Culturally
sensitive.
sensitive.
Embrace the diverse backgrounds, experiences, and abilities of others. It's like community, collaborate, build trust, celebrate, be approachable, be responsive, be patient, be inclusive,
Community.
be
think it's
culturally sensitive, or share.
It could be culturally sensitive or community, because you're embracing all the diverse backgrounds and experiences and
But
abilities.
I think the difference is one describes the behavior. So if you're embracing, then
You're being inclusive.
you're being inclusive, yeah. But if you have an understanding, then you're going to respect the values.
Yeah,
So then you
being
can be sensitive. Work with children and parents to address any challenges and find solutions. So, be inclusive, celebrate, share information, be patient, collaborate, be approachable, build trust, be responsive, community, or be culturally sensitive.
It'd be share information.
I think
Like
collaboration, because work with
Collaborate.
Collaborate, yeah, because you're working together. Does not throw you off. Achievements, large and small. Celebrate.
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 Involve parents and families in activities, events, and open days.
That can be
Share
celebration.
information. Or what else is there?
Community.
What else is there? Oh, community.
Community.
Thank you.
Community.
Building relationships may take time and require repetition and reinforcement. So you need to be very, very
Patient.
Patient.
lovely. Good job. By ensuring effective communication and building positive relationships with parents and families, practitioners will be able to create an understanding of the child's experiences at home and know when parents may need additional information or support to understand those of the setting. So, brief self-assessment, and then module 2 is complete. Co-regulation and communication are important for developing positive behaviour because, one, they provide an opportunity for the adult to have a rest and sit with the child. Two, they are powerful tools for modelling positive behaviour, build trust and enhance feelings of security. And three, it gives you the opportunity to chat and use reverse psychology, wow, asking someone to do the opposite of what you want in the hope that they'll be defiant and do the right thing.
number 2.
I'm sorry, but this is taking the biscuit.
So we just got gaslighted by the NDNA. Wow.
Reverse psychology, you know.
Isn't it? I was like, that is very harsh.
What are we?
Exactly. Question 2. Which of the following describe being effective role models for promoting positive behaviour? Being sensitive and responsive to a child's needs, feelings and interests?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Minimising interactions with children?
Nope.
No.
The ability to ignore a crying child? So
No.
Consistent in setting clear boundaries that are appropriate and agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Model the behaviour and language of positive behaviour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And foster a sense of belonging.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely, jubbly. Which communication strategies are most effective in building positive relationships with children and their families? Is it active listening and positive body language?
Yeah.
Using a commanding tone to establish authority?
Nope.
No.
Speaking only to the children and excluding their families?
No.
No.
Correct. Building positive relationships involve observe and respond to all communication and follow cues. Is that being responsive, patient, inclusive, culturally sensitive, or building trust?
Responsive.
Embrace the diverse backgrounds, experiences, and abilities of others. Culturally sensitive, patient, trust, being inclusive, being responsive.
Cultural sensitive, no?
Thank you. Be consistent in your words, actions, and commitments. Being responsive, culturally sensitive, being inclusive, building trust, being patient.
Trust.
Building trust, that consistency. Respect values, beliefs, and traditions of others is being culturally sensitive. And building relationships may take time and require repetition and reinforcement. So you need to be
Patient.
patient. Womp womp.
It's one of the
Probably the
Oh,
country.
this one.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Did we use it twice? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have acknowledged your contribution as a role model of positive behaviour in the promotion of desired behaviour in the setting. This module has also provided guidance and strategies to help you build positive relationships and effective communication with children and their families to foster a supportive, inclusive environment which promotes positive behaviour. That is the end of module 2. Let me just jump back on here. So that's the end of module 2. Nice and quick, but I think lots of helpful information in there. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
No? I would like it if you could all have a think about the needs of the children in your rooms and just have a think about whether or not you would change some of the strategies that you're currently using. I know we spoke briefly about it yesterday, but just think about how you would change some of those current strategies, kind of in line with the bits that I asked you to do from yesterday. And we will pick up part 3 on Monday at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock? 6:15. And I anticipate it shouldn't take more than an hour. So thank you all for your time today. And if I don't see you in the setting this week, have a great week, and I'll see you on Monday for training.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, my
Thank
love.
you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mel. Bye.
You're welcome. Hello, Richardson.